Tommy Ashley and Joey Powell.
There must be some kind of way out of here.
Welcome in Inside Carolina Live on YouTube right now. We have success. Joey Powell's over there, Daniel Myrick on the board, AJ in the background helping me get this set up. January 14th, mid-January already, Joey. Mid-January already, and North Carolina basketball is a hot topic.
Woo, boy. First off, I want to take a few minutes and congratulate you on your technologically savvy setup this morning. I mean,
dude, I'm nervous. Don't mess it up.
We were worried.
Don't touch that, Daniel.
We were worried that this would disappear when Gregory Hall left us for the left coast. But I'm impressed, man. The old man might still have a couple of tricks up his sleeve.
If it's so easy. If I can do it, anybody can do it. But yes,
even a caveman could do it.
Absolutely, and I feel like one today, having not shaven. If you're listening on YouTube or watching on YouTube, let us know. Make sure everything's working correctly.
Hey, shout out to everybody who's already in the chat, man. This is crazy to be able to talk to people live. I know you do it a lot of times on pods that you host, but I'm shocked that people that do not live in, actually, matter of fact, the people that live in my house don't want to watch me on YouTube. But I'm shocked that people that don't live in my house are sitting here watching us and ready to talk with us. So big ups to y'all for being here, man. That's awesome. Glad you guys are making us a part of your morning. So good stuff. Yeah, man. Weird feeling going in this game today. And I don't know if it's just coming off of that loss against UVA and the injuries and all the ingredients in the stew right now, but it's a weird vibe around Carolina basketball this morning.
Well, it doesn't help that you've got your All-American hurt. And if he plays today, I'd be absolutely shocked. I mean, in fact, for the betterment of Armando Bacot and maybe even the team, he needs to sit. But you're right, you add in Pete Nance, most likely out. And Louisville is not good on paper. They've been really bad in the games I've watched, but this has been a nightmare to deal with there. I mean, if folks remember last year at Louisville, aside from the riot that almost started, Carolina needed every ounce and every thread to get past Louisville last year. And, who knows what will happen? Well, here's what's going to happen, Joey. I'll go ahead and make a bold prediction 3 minutes in.
I was getting ready to say, bro, you really threw this out early today, man. I'm not used to this.
It's going to be it's either going to be a big Carolina win or it's going to be a Carolina loss. I don't think it's going to be close.
So you're going nowhere in the middle. It's either a blowout or an L.
I think Carolina comes out and either plays really well. Caleb Love, R.J. Davis carry it. I mean, just think if you're a guard on this team or anybody really on this team now, you can get all the shots you want. I don't have the directive. I've got to get it to Armando first.
And honestly, I don't care what it looks like. Just leave Louisville with a W today.
Yeah, I mean, it's 1 point or nothing.
That's a hungry squad. They've got some dudes. I mean, L. Ellis is a dog. I love his game. They've got enough bodies that and again, being hungry, they very much have the athletes that if Carolina decides to play with their food today, that could be problems. One of the things that scares me about Louisville is they rebound the ball pretty well. I think part of that's because they haven't shot it as well this season, but they do rebound the ball really well. Huntley Hatfield's a decent player, but L. Ellis is where things start and end with him, and we'll get into Louisville a little bit more later. But it's just a weird vibe. Tommy, I want to ask you something. Coming out of the loss against UVA the other night, UVA was a favorite. As we've seen, it's been hard for Carolina to win there. Some good, really good, high-performing Carolina teams have lost in bad fashion in Charlottesville, right? So UNC goes up there the other night, and 90 seconds or give or take into the game, Bacot goes out with an injury. I'm not so sure why everybody is. I feel like there's a lot of angst and people just being pissed off about that loss. And maybe I shouldn't be taking that loss in a vacuum. But I'm just not sure what people expected when two of your starting five are out, including post players, which if we know anything about playing against Virginia, if you don't have anybody in the post, you're going to struggle. Like, it's just the nature of their defense. And, and then so basically you take away North Carolina's inside out offense and you leave it to the guards, and things are just on the fly taken away from you. Mm-hmm. On the fly, you're taking away your preseason player of the year candidate. And I feel like people were just really mad after that loss against Virginia. And maybe I'm reading that the wrong way. Maybe I should be taking that loss in collective with all the other losses this year that North Carolina's looked at. But I don't know what people expected. Even though the Tar Heels led at the half, I don't know what they expected to happen, knowing how that game played out.
I think your last point right there is why people are more upset than normal about that. It's how it played out.
Right.
I mean, Carolina played well enough to win. Like Hubert Davis said on yesterday, that stat sheet was enough to win, and they just couldn't get it done. They just had those stretches that they've had so many times and frustration about it. And I said it in the post game, and Sherelle talked about the same thing you just mentioned about, at Virginia when you're down an All-American mm-hmm. and a fifth-year guy. But the bottom line is Carolina's done that very same thing so many times, in my opinion. And people are just frustrated to see it over and over. And it's like, you can see it coming. It's like the train that you see way in the distance. You see it coming, and nobody had the power to stop it. We've talked about Caleb Love enough. He didn't play well. He played well early, then he didn't play well, and then he hit some big shots. But guys just had opportunities. And it's kind of like when you're close with Virginia, when you've got a shot, you need to get it done because they're hard to do, mm-hmm. right? And so, yes, Baycott's out. I think when a player goes out, a major player goes out for injury, I think you can survive. You get sort of the bounce of
you get that surge.
Got to do this, and that game was that. Now, this game against Louisville, we'll talk about a lot today, but we'll see how they deal with it when they know they got to deal with it. I just think Sherelle always says it's not the what, it's the how, or whatever he says, and I'll mix it up, but it's the how it continues to happen, how they continue to lose games in the same fashion, just like the football team did, really.
We've seen this show before.
Yeah, I mean, it's like, here it comes. Can somebody stop this? Can Leaky Black, a fifth-year senior veteran leader, can he stop this? Can RJ and Caleb not do the silly turnovers that they're prone to do in big moments?
Stay here. That's where I am. That's where I think if there are bones to be picked and gripes to be made, I think it's with some of the decision making. I think we saw early in the game, North Carolina had some really, really bad turnovers early in that game against Virginia. And when you think about the fact that, Virginia limits your possessions anyway, like they want to have less possessions overall in a game. So when you don't take care of the ball, it's magnified, right? Like a turnover in a regular game where you're having, 30% more possessions isn't as bad as a turnover in a game against Virginia where things are limited. I just saw, veteran guys just making careless passes, and that I think is frustrating. One of the things I don't agree with is folks like banging this drum about benching Caleb Love and putting in somebody else or what. Look, I agree that some of what you get with the Caleb Love experience isn't great. I think people want him to shoot 100% or whatever. At this point, if he is what he is, who he is. He's a killer. Like, he wants to take the big shot in big situations, and sometimes he's going to miss them. I think benching Caleb Love is not the answer. If you want to sit him for a couple of minutes when he's in a funk, so be it. But you can't bench him because there's nobody else that's going to give you the opportunities that he gives, because there's nobody else on the floor that's as talented as he is.
Yeah,
I think what you can can do is bench him for a few minutes if he's gets in one of those things where he has like some machine gun mistakes. Then you can pull him for a little bit. But I do not agree with the folks that are like, bench Caleb Love, play somebody else. Like if that was the answer, it would have been done a long time ago. Like I feel like that's such a mistake to assume that that's going to cure all the ills.
Yeah, I mean, I do agree with you that there can be some course correction maybe that we haven't seen. But look, these guys are in practice. These guys are around these guys all the time. I've said it a lot in the last couple of weeks especially. Hubert Davis sees Caleb Love and sees the potential he has, and he's doing everything he possibly can to get it out there.
Yeah.
And you live with the bad. And it's frustrating to watch as a fan, as an observer, as somebody that follows them, because then you see some other people make the same mistake, and off they go to sit on the bench.
Yeah.
So it's sort of like a different set of standards, but the bottom line is with Love, and I mean, this guy might be the most talked about person we've ever covered.
Absolutely.
Like,
I don't know who would be close.
Yeah, and it's not just recency bias because he's here. I mean, I've been doing this for 25 years, and I've probably said Love more on these podcasts than I've said in my life. But he can do it. The question is, how do you get him to do it consistently?
Yeah.
Jalen Washington said something, and folks are not watching the press conferences, whether it's Hubert Davis, but especially the players. Jalen Washington yesterday said to be able to do and stay locked in on every play, especially when you're tired, that was the hardest part for him against Virginia. Now, it's his first shot, his first chance he's gotten to do it. But that is a thing, right? And so when you feel like you've got to do everything, or you need to do everything, or you want to get yours, then the mind sort of goes to places that are not helpful. And that's where I think Hubert Davis could maybe do a better job reining him in. Bench him. You want to bench the one guy that can put points on the board?
The guy that's microwave offense when you need it. Yeah. I mean, you saw it. He almost brought him back against UVA. Like I know you wish you would have done that earlier in the game, but that's where I think people they're letting their frustrations kind of cloud what seems to be a more sane decision.
Yeah, and Jake in the YouTube chat says, he needs to let the ball come to him and make plays rather than force it. Absolutely, that needs to happen more.
But that's like telling the dog to stop being a dog.
Yeah,
I mean, it's his offense is beating guys off the dribble, which I wish he would do more. I think that's something that Hubert Davis and the staff have been asking him to do more too. Is take guys off the drive a little bit more. And now what happens is he tries to force a couple of those, but I do think he's better when he's turning the corner on guys and getting to the rim.
What was the famous shot from the Final Four?
Yep.
Right. We've seen that photo a million times. We'll see it in Carolina history, the shot over Mark Williams. But what were just as big of plays were those drives where he wrapped around Williams
up and under
and did that, and he did it a couple times. He needs to do more of that. He needs to finish at the rim more. If you're not hitting your shots, then get to the rim. A couple of those guys need to do that. I mean, Leaky Black, he needs to dunk on somebody.
Somebody said that in the chat earlier, and a dude that's athletic as he is and as big as he is, I see him get so close to the rim. And Joey from high school is like, man, if I was anywhere close to that, I'm trying to take some souls. And I know it's easier for me to sit here behind this microphone and say it than somebody say it in a game. But yeah, I need to see Leaky go and absolutely try to baptize somebody.
Yep, and so in a game like this today, against a Louisville team that is 2-15,
wounded and all kinds of struggle bus activity going on.
There is no excuse for North Carolina and for the guys we've already talked about not to come out on fire and go straight at them and try to knock them back. You cannot give Louisville any semblance of hope in a game like this, and it starts with the leaders. Leakey's a fifth-year guy. Caleb and RJ are third-year guys, but they've played a ton of basketball. Beyond that, that somebody else has got to step up. People keep asking about Dontrez Styles. Let me ask a question. If Dontrez Styles could help this team, don't you think he'd play?
He is a bit of a mystery shrouded in an enigma. I will say, I think today is a good opportunity for him. When you look at the bodies that Louisville puts out there, the athleticism, I think people demanding to see him against Virginia, I don't think he's a good matchup. And I think that's something that people need to think about too with regard to how Hubert plays guys. Hubert's selecting guys in a game based on the matchups that he's got. Again, it's a very NBA mentality that is not what we saw with Roy Williams. But kind of thinking in that line and kind of staying along that theme, I think today would be a good place for Dontrez. And I would love to see him go in and make some things happen because they're going to need his athleticism to rebound against a good rebounding Louisville team. I think today would be a much better opportunity than Tuesday night in Charlottesville would have been.
And this game will be, faster pace. But yeah, I agree. Playing in Virginia would have been a disaster. The way they run their offense. I mean, you saw how they broke down Carolina at the end when they had to get baskets, whether it was Beekman or Gardner or whatever. I mean, the drive down the lane, where it was a ball screen and Caleb just let him go. Yeah. I mean, that was a killer. That is like, what is happening now?
It's almost like he was expecting help to come too. That wasn't there.
Well, the thing is that we've harped on don't help.
Yeah. Well, it's again, it's 6 of one, half dozen of another. You're right.
Yeah. So they just, I mean, would I like to see Styles play more? Absolutely. It's fun to watch a guy that's 6'6", whatever he is, that's got hops that can punch on somebody and do that. But
there's a reason he ain't playing.
Yeah, there's a reason he's not playing, and I don't understand why. I mean, if I'm a coach, I'm going to play the people that help me win, and I'm going to play the people that do what they are supposed to do to help me win.
It ain't like Hubert wants to lose.
I know. It's like, you think we want to be 11-6? Hubert could say that, but he can say we want to win, and he's not doing the things to help us win. Yeah. And quite frankly, the talk about it is tiresome. Yeah. Because it's every week. Yeah. Now, one person I will say this, one person I do think can help them win, that is kind of a in and out guy, is Puff Johnson. Yeah. I like that guy.
He's what's funny is he is at this place where he also has machine gun things happen. Like he got 3 fouls real quick against game before last, which they're all running together. But, he got 3 fouls real quick in that game where I think if he'd have been able to stay in and get settled, he could really do some good stuff. I don't know if he's still trying to get healthier, if he's not trusting himself or not, but his defensive ability, if he can flash it, absolutely is something this team needs, especially, if you're considering 2 post players being out. Mm-hmm. Also, this needs to be mentioned too, and I think it's probably just as good that we mention it now before we get any further down the road. Not having Will Shaver in Charlottesville was a big deal. Not that Will Shaver is going to go in and stop anything that UVA was trying to do, but being able to have a big body to give some minutes for Jalen Washington to have a blow when Nance and Baycott were out would have made a difference. I think you saw Justin McCoy getting manhandled and kind of being put out of position a couple of times. I think people maybe did not read what value having a body like Shaver would have helped, even for 5 or 6 minutes the other night, may have helped this squad. But I digress. All right, so let's do this, Tommy. We'll take a quick break. We're going to come right back. We're going to bring Adam Smith on. He will be is he going to Louisville today? We should probably find out.
Yeah, he should be. I hope he's there.
Yeah. So we'll talk with Adam about the ball game today. He's been in press conferences this week and is covering the team for Inside Carolina. So we'll talk to Adam. We're going to have Marcus Ginyard in segment 3. Talk with him about a couple of different things about playing through injuries, because he had to deal with that some in his career. We'll have Greg Barnes, who is still willing to spend some time with us, even though he's no longer on the beat, but still contributing a lot of stuff for Inside Carolina. So we'll have Greg top the second hour. I see Takeover segment 5, your chance to win a gift card from Johnny T-Shirt. Get in here with some questions. If you're not on the YouTube channel, hit us up on Twitter. Hit us some questions. We'll make sure that we get the best one, gets a Johnny T-Shirt gift card. But we're trying to get you set up. The Louisville game today at 2 o'clock. Tar Heels up at the KFC, Yum, Taco Bell, Mexican Pizza, whatever the name of that arena is. But Tommy Ashley's here. I'm here. Full-time Daniel on the board. We appreciate him being here. Appreciate all you guys in the YouTube chat there being a part of the show. I hope you continue to interact with us. We'll be right back on Inside Carolina Live on 97.9 The Hill, WCHL.
I'm Shamon Williams, and you're listening to Inside Carolina Live.
This is Hubert Davis, head coach of the Tar Heels. We are excited to see you at the Smith Center again this season, so don't forget to make reservations for you, your family, and friends at the new Sheraton, Chapel Hill, where so many Tar Heel alumni and fans stay for home games and other special visits. The new Sheraton has been completely renovated with all the amenities you need to fully enjoy your time here. Go to SheratonChapelHill.com for our home games and your other reasons to be in Chapel Hill. Thank you, and go Heels.
I'm Hank Hill, and I sell propane and propane accessories. I think I've done pretty well.
Talking about that dang old 401k, man.
And that's Boomhauer. I used to get my financial advice from him.
Man, talking about that dang old Bitcoin and penny stocks, man.
Dang it, Boomhauer, that was terrible advice. Thankfully, John Stillman at Rosewood Wealth Management helped me fix my mess. If he weren't my friend, I'd hug him.
Dang old Hank and I ain't real, man, but Carolina Wealth Stewart is doing business at dang old Rosewood Wealth Management as a real registered investment advisor in the state of North Carolina, man.
And now another no-brainer money-saving tip from Progressive.
Marcus, what happened?
I was changing my oil and I spilled some on the floor.
Oh, we'll use these $50 bills to wipe it up.
Perfect. Got any more?
Yeah, take a couple hundred.
Stop. Instead of using money, use an old rag. And here's a better tip from Progressive on how not to waste money. Don't pay too much for car insurance. Drivers who switch and save could save hundreds. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates. Potential savings will vary.
I always wanted to learn Spanish, but I never thought I'd have the time. Then I discovered Babbel.
Babbel's lessons are fun. They only take like 10 or 15 minutes, and in 3 weeks, presto, you're starting to speak another language, like magic.
I love that Babbel's lessons aren't just robots talking. They're voiced by native speakers, so you get the pronunciation just right.
If you want to learn a language, there's no faster, easier, better way than
Babbel.
Babbel.
Babbel. Go to Babbel.com to try for free. That's BABBEL.com. Babbel.com.
There are no COVID-related restrictions in effect in Orange County, but residents are encouraged to practice safety to protect themselves and others. Health Director Quintana Stewart encourages residents to mask indoors during periods of high transmission. Wash your hands often, give each other a little space, and most importantly, be sure you are up to date on your COVID-19 vaccinations. The Health Department offers both Moderna and Pfizer vaccines and boosters. To make an appointment, please visit takemyshot.nc.gov or call 919-913-8088.
What's up? It's Licky Black. Thursdays are Lockdown Thursdays at Town Hall Grill in Chapel Hill, and Town Hall Burger and Beer in Raleigh, Holly Springs, Durham, and Briar Chapel. All day long, every Thursday, you can try a basket of my lockdown chicken tenders with just the right amount of sweetness and heat for only $10. Head to Town Hall Grill or Town Hall Burger and Beer and just tell them Leaky sent you.
You're listening to Inside Carolina Live with Tommy Ashley and Joey Powell on 97.9 The Hill, WCHL, the flagship station for Tar Heel sports.
Inside Carolina Live, rocking the Casbah.
Can I get some of those lockdown tenders?
Lockdown leaky chicken tenders?
$10.
Look, I'm going to sit here and keep asking for food till people bring us food.
Well, I got coffee. 4th cup.
Good Lord, man. You are running on that high octane fuel this morning.
4 hours of sleep, 4 cups of coffee.
4 hours of sleep? What were you doing last night, bro? All right, is that safe to say on the radio?
Yes, old. Yeah, I stayed up late watching. I was trying to catch up on Andor, the Star Wars thing on whatever, and then for some reason I downloaded Apple Arcade on my phone because I get it for Verizon and Apple. And I showed my age by playing solitaire for like 2 hours.
Yeah, so you download an Apple Arcade and end up playing solitaire anyway. That is like the most old man bleep I have ever seen in my life.
It was the epic time when, especially at work back in the day, and I don't work there anymore and the statutes run, when Microsoft put solitaire on the computer, man. I played many an hour, and it was just kind of a throwback.
Out there stealing the man's money.
Yeah. So folks think that it's an exciting life doing this stuff. Yeah, 1 o'clock in the morning playing solitaire on your phone is about as hip as it gets.
For somebody that I hope is not playing solitaire right now, Adam Smith. Adam, are you alive? Are you there? Are you playing solitaire? If so, we will hang up and allow you to get back to your game.
Yeah, I'm just enjoying this conversation you guys are having. I mean,
that makes one of us.
I thought Tommy was going to set it up like when he was explaining, when he was explaining earlier, he said, I'm old. I thought he was going to say, I'm old. And so is Adam Smith. Let's bring him on.
Wow. That would have been an awesome segue. I'm actually mad that we didn't play that.
Oh, well, let's start over.
I'm braced for it.
Yeah, I'm old. And so is Adam Smith. Adam, how you doing?
Oh, old as hell over here, Tommy.
Did they give you the Wi-Fi password at the old folks' home?
Wow. Wow. All right. So before we totally
keeping that in my meds from me.
Adam,
sorry.
You're fine, man. I'm assuming you're wearing Rick Pitino's old white suit to the game today to cover Tar Heels in Louisville. I want to take a step back and ask you this. What do you think the UVA game did for this team? And if so, what was it?
Oh, geez. Well, you threw me a curveball there because I got Rick Pitino white suit on my mind.
I need you to pivot, bro. I need you to pivot. Stay with me here.
Face up, assess, jab step. Well, I mean, I think it obviously was a pretty big moment in Jalen Washington's, start of his UNC career. I think it did some. I mean, not to be a smart aleck, but I think it did some bad things as Armando Bacot got hurt. Before the game really started. I think that was not good. I think we're all aware of that. But I think that it was. If there's a silver lining, I mean, I hate to be like this because that was a game Carolina could have won. They had the 7-point second half lead and they were within 3 a couple times late. But I think it gave some very valuable ACC basketball minutes to a player like Jalen Washington. DeMarco Dunn was pretty good off the bench. UNC, I thought UNC needed Caleb Love and RJ Davis to be better. I didn't think Davis played bad, but I felt like some of those turnovers, in a low possession game, some of those turnovers they had were killers, against the UVA team in that type of environment. But we'll see. We talked to Jalen Washington after the game Tuesday night, and he said, I said, look like you gave the tired sign. He goes, I was tired.
Yeah.
And he said yesterday in Chapel Hill when we were making our way up here, that he was pretty sore Wednesday after playing. So
I would imagine for a guy like that, you can be conditioned, but game shape is different than being in good conditioning. And I think that a lot of folks may undersell that a little bit. I want to ask you, I'm assuming that the Tar Heels, with what they're dealing with potentially from an injury standpoint, I would assume that Hubert Davis has run some 5-out in practice the last couple of days. Do you have any sense of what the roster might look like today, potentially without both Bacot and Pete Nance?
Well, I think that's the question before the ball gets tipped up and they actually start playing and trying to score and defend against these guys, is who he runs out there first, and then what the substitutions and the combinations look like from there, because they've obviously gone without Pete Nance the last couple of games. They've obviously gone with Seth Trimble in there, where you have the 3-guard lineup, and then Lee Key Black and Armando, and it just doesn't seem like you're going to have Bacot and Nance. I wondered if they would even travel here. I just have to wonder why. I think Tommy and I think we all talked about it the other night on the beat. Like, why would you have a guy who has a bad back continue to travel if he has no chance of playing
and sit on the bench?
Yeah, and man, I gotta tell you, I'm lucky to have made my way through college, so I'm in no way qualified to assess somebody's to play doctor, but he just looks so stiff, and he just looks so stiff to me. Now I know backs are really weird, and you could maybe wake up one day and it's a lot better, but But yeah, back to your thing, your question. I mean, the lineups. Do you not start Trimble today because Louisville is actually pretty big. They got two 6'8" guys and a 6'10" guy in the starting lineup, and then they come off the bench with Jalen Withers, the kid out of Charlotte who's 6'9". So, I don't know if you're just trying to match up the pieces in terms of size. I don't know if Trimble, Caleb, RJ is the best way to go along with Leaky and Jalen Washington. I mean, who knows? You could get Puff Johnson in there. Maybe go Puff, Leaky, Jalen Washington. I think you're going to say, as much as probably UNC fans don't want to hear it, I think you're going to see Justin McCoy quite a bit because they're going to need the size and frankly, the 5 fouls they might need. We could talk about Dontre Styles for the next 2 hours if you wanted to, but I think that's going to be the question: who they put out there first, and then what they do from there with the pieces that they do have. Because I don't think I'm highly doubtful that Baycott or Pete Nance would play.
Yeah, Adam, we talked about Jalen Washington, and there was a little debate on the beat on Thursday night. And a lot of folks that are in the YouTube chat right now are in there. But I see a lot of fresh faces in the YouTube chat too. So everybody join us everywhere. But we talked about Jalen Washington's ability. But he mentioned being able to do it when he's tired. And that's one thing from listening to high school guys that transition to college that are pretty good players is that leap from being able to be good and then be good when you're tired. And Washington added in the fact that he hadn't played in a year and a half.
Right.
So my question is for you, and Hubert basically said he had no idea what the lineup was going to look like at the presser yesterday. He said, ask me at 4:30.
Yeah, I know.
But my question is, Louisville is big, like you mentioned. So how many minutes do we even remotely think that Jalen Washington could handle? Because Louisville is at a faster pace. I mean, Virginia's a lot of walking it up and standing around and get the cutters, but Louisville wants to run. How can Jalen Washington progress here, going from nothing to 27 minutes, I think. Now they're probably going to need him more than that if he can stomach it.
Yeah, as you were asking the question, I was thinking, maybe, get hope for 25 of them, seek 25 out of them and hope for 30 maybe. I don't know. The one thing about the other night, other than the fact he had 12 first half points and, he was quite good there in the latter part of the first half, Jalen Washington was, when we were talking to Pete Nance after the Virginia game, there's a couple questions like, what did you see out of Jalen? What did you like the most out of Jalen tonight? And one of the things that he said was he thought that he handled the physicality of Virginia, the way that they play you, the way they make you, the cliche thing is, make them feel you on defense. You obviously feel Virginia the way they play. Kind of chesty, I think you would say. But, like Pete Nance said, he thought that dealing with Shedrick and dealing with the big 6'1" guy that they bring off the bench, Francisco something or other, that he thought Jalen acquitted himself pretty well in terms of just dealing with the physicality. Because, let's be honest, there's only one Armando Baycott on the UNC basketball team, Pete Nance is more, I'm not saying he can't score on the post because he definitely can, but he's a little bit more of a finesse player than Baycott. And Jalen Washington is sort of a finesse big. He's good facing up. He's got a soft jumper. He's good on the turnaround jumper. He has that in his game. Hubert thinks he can take it out to the 3-point line. Hasn't hit a 3-pointer yet this season, but Hubert thinks that's where his game is expanding to. So I think he's going to have to be in for more of the same in terms of dealing with the physicality of guys who are older and possibly stronger than him. He has the nice long arms. He has that nice high release. But I think everything with him, like you mentioned, is the guy didn't play basketball for so long. It's like hitting the restart button with him.
Adam, one thing that, a lot of talk in the YouTube chat, and it's something that we've seen have success. Now, when you're down 2 starters and, 3 total bodies, I guess if we count Shaver, it's tough to have the stamina for it. But Carolina's pressed, and they've really attacked opponents the length of the floor. And Louisville will give it away. Louisville will gladly donate the ball to you if you force them.
Most definitely they will. They will.
So do we expect that anymore today? I think we have to see it.
Why not? I don't know. It's just so hard for those of us who try to study this and track this and, chronicle it, I guess you would say, for the readers and the listeners and the watchers. It's so hard to get a read on when under Hubert Davis, Carolina will go to the run and jump, and if they even will, because I thought in early December, when they were sort of forced into that mode without Nick Hott at Virginia Tech, and the trapping and, the run and jump was so helpful against the Hokies, I thought, well, we're going to see more of this. I think, I feel like this is going to be just a new wrinkle you see get worked in and out, and I don't think it really happened. Now, they've gone back to it a couple times, and it's been okay, and sometimes it's been, not that great.
Yeah.
But yeah, Tommy, I believe there's only 8 teams in college basketball that turn it over at a higher rate than Louisville. 24% of their possessions end in turnovers. And literally every player on the roster, other than L. Ellis, has more turnovers than assists. There's no one other than
16.6 a game. You're right.
Yeah. They will give it up. There's a reason they're 2-15.
Yeah, well, I know Tar Heel fans are a little queasy about this one just because Louisville is bad and they're worried about all things negative. And I get it, right? Like the Tar Heels haven't done anything to make anybody feel confident, but Louisville's got some dudes, and the Tar Heels are going to need to play well today. Look, man, I hope you cover well today. Hope you do well with your media responsibilities, and we'll look forward to reading your post-game stuff on Inside Carolina after the game.
Thank you, guys. You guys have a good one.
All right, man. That's Adam Smith.
A cup of coffee, Tommy.
No, yeah, I'm waiting for you need to bring back some spirits.
Yeah, well, there we go. It's not like you have anything else going on today. Adam Smith, we appreciate it, man. He'll have all your coverage up on IC later today, so be sure to check that out. Appreciate him joining us here on Saturday morning. Take a quick break. We'll be right back with UNC Letterman and national champion Marcus Ginyard on Inside Carolina Live. You're listening to 97.9 The Hill, WCHL.
Hey, it's Trey Boston, and you're listening to Inside Carolina Live.
It's time for the Carolina Players Spotlight, presented by the Lumina Theater, supporting the student athletes from your hometown team on your hometown radio station.
Licky Black, small forward from Concord, North Carolina, UNC men's basketball. My favorite part about life in Chapel Hill, I love it here. I love the people, the places. I love going to the movies. I love the food. You have to try the Lockdown Licky Chicken Tenders. Creed's my favorite movie because Michael B. Jordan just keeps getting back up every time he gets knocked down. My favorite song right now is probably Top Sound by NBA Youngboy.
The Carolina Players Spotlight is presented by the Lumina Theater in Southern Village. Come visit the Lumina, Chapel Hill's neighborhood theater. Movies are just better there. Find more Carolina Players Spotlights on the homepage of chapelboro.com and by listening to 97.9 The Hill, your flagship station for Tar Heel sports. Go Heels!
Thank you, Lumina Theater.
Hey, it's Tommy Ashley from Inside Carolina, and I always shop at Johnny T-Shirt. A Franklin Street tradition since 1983, Johnny T-Shirt has all the greatest selections of Tar Heel gear, from football jerseys to T-shirts to hats and Carolina gifts for all ages. Help Inside Carolina support this great family and alumni-owned business and get all your Tar Heel gear at Johnny T-Shirt, 128 East Franklin Street in downtown Chapel Hill, or shop online and get your Tar Heel merchandise delivered to your doorstep with JohnnyT-Shirt.com.
Your car is smart. It keeps you in your lane, helps you navigate from place to place, and maybe even drives itself. Don't you think it deserves a mechanic as smart as it is? At F&F Automotive, the team is ready and equipped to handle any need your car may have. Foreign or domestic, car or truck, F&F is constantly updating their technology to keep up with the demands of today's vehicles. F&F Automotive, value and integrity in everything we do.
The Revive Chapel Hill Recovery and Resiliency Plan is an initiative of the town of Chapel Hill. It sets out to rebuild Chapel Hill as a more equitable, inclusive, and vibrant local economy. Its focus is on job growth, talent development, office space development, and stronger retail support. This path from recovery to long-term resiliency will be marked with small victories and big wins that occur over time as the town and its many partners work together to rebuild Chapel Hill. To learn more about Revive Chapel Hill, visit open2.biz/revive.
Come meet us at your neighborhood Flying Biscuit Cafe, located in University Place next to Silver Spot Cinema. We have a 25-year history of serving the South flavorful comfort food. Though we're famous for our grits and biscuits, our loyal guests throughout the Southeast come join us to enjoy breakfast, lunch, and dinner throughout the day. Bring the whole family. There's something for everyone on our extensive menu. Flying Biscuit Cafe at University Place. For more information, visit us at flyingbiscuit.com.
You're listening to Inside Carolina Live with Tommy Ashley and Joey Powell on 97.9 The Hill, WCHL, the flagship station for Tar Heel sports.
Inside Carolina Live. Dan, you got to stop prodding my music down so early, man. I was feeling it. Had a little Dave Grohl going in my.
I kind of thought you forgot that you were bringing this back in here.
A little Everlong from the Foo Fighters. All right, that's enough. You guys aren't vibed up the way I need you to be. I need you guys to be turned. Tom, you've got 8 cups of coffee in you. You should be bouncing off the walls.
I'm trying not to touch anything so that camera right up there doesn't fall off the tripod.
The hamster is up there running the hamster wheel is not going to fail you today.
But just don't touch anything. We're rolling good. I got the word that it looks good from the outside.
Considering the subject matter they have on camera, that says a lot.
Yeah, we do need to figure out this bald head.
What we should do is have our next guest in studio because he's always dapper. He always looks clean and sharp and dressed to the nines. So
have to dress up if he comes in.
That's true. He would absolutely elevate our game. Let's bring in Mr. Marcus Ginyard. Marcus, how you doing, man?
I'm doing well. How you guys doing this morning?
All right, just a quick vibe check. What are you wearing today? Are you clean as always?
I am. I'm trying to tone it down. It's the weekend, but I mean, I still got my Carolina polo on. I got some sneakers on today. I mean, they're fresh, but nothing too crazy. No hard bottoms today. Nothing like that.
I was gonna say, I'm so used to seeing you wearing something leather with a hard bottom and some sort of lizard attire, man. It's not even normal. Listen, I appreciate you joining us on a Saturday morning. One of the things I think you did really well in your time playing for the Tar Heels was your ability to play through injury and bounce back from injuries. I mean, you're one of those guys that I think not only being a fan favorite, but I think your toughness was something a lot of folks remember you for. When you look at this Tar Heel roster right now, the injuries they're dealing with specifically in the post, what's the mindset for those guys when they're going through their rehab, knowing they want to be out there on the floor? Marcus, we lose you, bro?
Live.
Can you hear me?
I got you now. All right.
Okay, I'm sorry about that, guys.
It's okay.
One of the things is one, I can only speak for myself, but two, Coach Williams always made, he made a big point to talk about the difference between being hurt and being injured. And, a lot of times you're going to have to play hurt. You're going to have to play banged up. But if you're injured, if you got something that's broken, that's going to get worse if you play on it. Obviously you got to be more cautious and maybe take a seat. But it's just one of those things where you got to find that balance of one, what you can handle and what you can push through, and then also looking to your left and to your right and knowing that there's guys relying on you, and if you can push through a little bit of pain, then maybe that's what you need to do. But at the end of the day, I don't know kind of what some of these guys are dealing with specifically, and so to just hoping that if they're injured, they're taking good care of themselves, and if they're hurt, then maybe they can kind of push through some of that pain.
when you see that a key contributor like Armando Bacot goes out early in a game, Tommy and I talked about it. If you know that, you can kind of rally, and there's a little bit of extra intensity the guys come out of the locker room with in their next contest. But how do you play with that when it happens so early in a game and it's not really something you guys can plan for? Like, does it cause guys to press a little bit or grip a little bit, or is it something where maybe you have a guy like a Jalen Washington who just slips right in and takes his shine where he can get it?
Well, the way that I thought about it, and I think that the rest of, my teammates, during my time, long ago, we always thought about the idea of next man up. And, it should be no surprise for these guys that injuries happen, that foul trouble happens. So you can't always be sure, that your highest productive guys are going to be on the court all the time, for whatever reason. And so you just got to be ready to step up and to contribute in the best way that you can when your time is called. And the thing about sports, the thing about basketball is it's very dynamic, and you never know when that's going to be. So really just comes down to being prepared and being ready when your number's called. And I think that, last game against Virginia, for example, we got to see Jalen Washington was ready for that. And, just hoping that these guys continue to prepare and get ready for those moments when their number's called.
Marcus, Tommy Ashley here, and we're talking to Marcus Ginyard, former North Carolina star, Letterman legend. Marcus, let me ask you a question about being injured and trying to work back from that. What's the toughest part of sort of rejoining the team, rejoining the rotation for a player? Is it stamina? Is it getting your wind back? Is it figuring out what's going on out there? Just having been through that like Jalen's going through, is it a difficult process? Is it hard to learn on the fly? Just your take overall on that.
I think it's an extremely, extremely difficult process. There's so many things that are going on. One, obviously, you're getting back from your injury, right? And so you're trying to, one, mentally make sure that your body's going to hold up. Two, you could still be going through some physical discomfort and pain, as you're coming back from an injury. You're absolutely right with the stamina and your just getting your lungs back out on the court. You're trying to get a feel for the game again, depending on how long you've been out. And then also to your point, the team's been playing without you. The team's been gelling and connecting and creating kind of this new chemistry without you on the court. And so now you have to find a way to get back into that without disrupting the flow and trying to make it a little bit more natural and a little bit more organic. So there's a lot of things that are moving at the same time that you're trying to figure out. But yeah, it's a difficult thing, but again, it's part of sports, and it's unfortunate to have to go through that, as a player. But at the end of the day, it's just one of those things that you got to try to figure out. And, if you want to be a part of a successful team, you got to do everything you can to make that transition as smooth as possible.
At what point in your athletic career at Carolina did you realize, and I ask this because of guys learning their roles, appear to be still learning their roles on this team under Hubert Davis, but at one point for you, did you realize that this is my role? This is my lane. This is where I need to stay to make this team successful. And how difficult is that for a player? You come out of high school, everybody's good. Everybody can do pretty much everything. But once you get to the college level, it sometimes appears that guys still think they can do that. Still think they can do what they were able to do before. How is that transition to sort of getting the mindset is this is what I need to do, this is what they want me to do, and this is what I can do to be successful?
I'm really, really happy that you asked that question. I feel like I was talking about this not too long ago. Just, talking about sports and talking about my experience at Carolina. I was very lucky to have been a part of, a very successful high school basketball, organization in Bishop O'Connell. And so I think when not only are you a great player in high school, but when you're a part of a winning program, I think you start to understand kind of how important all those roles are. Even if you are maybe one of the stars, you understand the importance of some of the other roles that are out there on the court. I was also very lucky. Well, some would argue lucky, some would argue not so lucky to have grown up in a military family. So just this understanding of everybody putting their personal goals on the second shelf and putting the team goals on the first shelf, for me, it was a very easy transition. It didn't take me long to realize, one, what was going to get me on the court and what was going to keep me on the court, was my energy and my defensive prowess. And again, was surrounded by a plethora of talent. And so really just wanted to kind of buy into that role, knowing that was going to help our team win. And that was my biggest goal going into Carolina, was to win a national championship. And so for me, that was always the number one priority. And now, is that the number one priority for kids these days, for our team? I certainly hope so. But again, I can't speak to that. And I just hope that the main goal is for this team to be successful. And that was just something that we were always told every single day. If the team is successful, all the individual accolades will follow. And so I think that we just did a great job in our group of really just putting the team first and everybody understanding what they could do to help the team, focusing on that, and everything else fell in place. Like I said, we had a bunch of talented players. And I think that within that mindset, your individual talents will shine. But if your number one goal is what can I do to help this team win, then I think everybody's in a better position.
I think one of the things that folks will remember about your tenure at Carolina, Marcus, is you played on some teams that had no expectations, and you played on some teams that had the highest of expectations. You're kind of seeing that with this core group of guys right now. What did you guys do as a locker room and then as individuals who had very specific roles? What did you do when you guys weren't living up to expectation, or when things just weren't clicking the way that you knew that they could, or the result on a game night was not the result that you guys felt you were putting in at practice? How does that play out in the locker room?
It plays out differently depending on, the makeup in the locker room. And again, I feel like I was very lucky to be, a part of a group at Carolina that really took that personal, and really kind of had a lot of accountability that we held on ourselves and held each other accountable. And, obviously there's a lot of pressure from outside when the results don't look great, but that really wasn't what drove us. What motivated us was our understanding of how good we could be, and where we wanted to be, and knowing that, maybe we didn't perform that night, or maybe we weren't practicing as well as we needed to. And we really took that responsibility on ourselves. I mean, obviously we got some kicks in the butt from the coaching staff, but I think that we really did a great job of holding ourselves accountable. And I want to just, quickly shout out some of the older guys that were on our teams when we were younger, the Wes Millers, the Quentin Thomases, the David Noels of the world that really helped us understand that mindset, that mentality, and how to work every single day and continue to focus on getting better as a team every day. Not necessarily focused on the results, but just focus on getting better every day. And really taking a look at that internally first. Obviously, if you win or you lose, you're going to have people, on the outside that say you should have won by more, or you should have won, all this stuff. So really just trying to keep it internal and again, holding yourselves accountable first, holding your teammates accountable, and really just trying to push each other to be better. I think that we just did a fantastic job of that.
Talking with Marcus Ginyard. Marcus, last question, bro, before we let you go and enjoy your Saturday. When you have a player as talented and as skilled as Caleb Love, and he's working through some things, I think you saw that with some of your teammates at times where they were trying to kind of, shoot themselves out of a slump, or maybe just nights where it just wasn't clicking for them. How can you as a teammate help bridge those guys from getting where they are back to where they want to be?
I think that, one of the things that always stuck with me from Coach Williams is one of the thoughts of the day. I'm sure it's no secret that we had, offensive, defensive, and kind of overall thoughts of the day every day at practice. And one of the thoughts of the day for us over the year was that good teams have good teammates and great teams have great teammates. And so just trying to think of, ways to be great a great teammate. And I think great teammates are ones that really support you in those times, specifically in those times where maybe you're in that slump, and guys that just continue to try to give you confidence and continue to tell you to take the next shot if it's a good one. I think, if I may just kind of throw this out into the universe, I can, I bet all my money in the world, which isn't much, that Caleb's not listening. But I want to also just say that in those times, I think it's really important, again, to get back to this idea of what can I do to help my team win? And if my shot is not falling, can I be an absolute terror on defense? Can I go try to grab as many rebounds in the next 2 minutes as I possibly can? Can I be a great teammate to my other teammates out there and give them a pat on the back and tell them great job and tell them, hey, come on, let's pick this up right here. Let's go. Can I dive on the floor for that loose ball? And there's so many ways to contribute to your team. And so I just want this out in the universe for this young team, and the young guys on the team and the older guys on the team, which really come together as a great mix of young and old. But just speaking to these 18, 19, 20-year-old kids who are still young, just think about all the different ways that you can be effective and you can contribute and make winning plays. And it's not always putting the ball in the basket. And so, stay confident and just continue to kind of, support and encourage your teammates. But then at the same time, recognize all the other ways that you can be a great basketball player and you can contribute to your team winning. So I think that's, again, just trying to be a great teammate is kind of one of the only and best way to get through this slump.
Well, Marcus, we appreciate you joining us this morning. You've got me wanting to be a better teammate to Tommy. And I'll be honest, if Caleb Love is listening to this show right now, I'm officially worried about today's game. But I appreciate you making time for us, man. I hope you enjoy your weekend. We'll talk at you sometime very soon down the road.
Thanks for having me, guys. You have a good one.
All right, that's Marcus Ginyard, UNC Letterman, former national champ. Anytime we get somebody that's got a ring, man, I feel like we gotta be better.
Absolutely. And we can talk about break down what he said more after the break and after we talk to Greg Barnes, but a lot of good stuff in there.
Yeah, it's you can tell Marcus is comfortable on a microphone, and if the ACC network doesn't snatch him up soon, I will be shocked if that's something he even wants to do. But he's really good. Appreciate him making some time for us and sharing some insight with us, because again, he's been in the locker room, he's been on teams that had no expectations and teams that had great expectations. So we appreciate him being a part of the show. Appreciate you being a part of the show and listening today. If you've got some questions and you want to drop them in the YouTube chat, feel free. If you want to hit us on the message boards or on Twitter, please do so. We'll be right back on Inside Carolina Live on 97.9 The Hill, WCHL.
I'm Ryan Switzer, and you're listening to Inside Carolina Live.
What's up? It's Licky Black. Thursdays are Lockdown Thursdays at Town Hall Grill in Chapel Hill, and Town Hall Burger and Beer in Raleigh, Holly Springs, Durham, and Briar Chapel. All day long, every Thursday, you can try a basket of my lockdown chicken tenders with just the right amount of sweetness and heat for only $10. Head to Town Hall Grill or Town Hall Burger and Beer and just tell them Licky sent you.
Real magic is everywhere. It's in your mom's cooking, in 4-hour dinners with friends, in that first bite of something new, and in the fizz of a Coca-Cola. Now with so many options for less than $5, the Coca-Cola Value Collection will help you make the most out of every magic moment for so much less. Taste the magic for less with Coca-Cola.
Could your aging loved one be eligible for assistance through the Program for All-Inclusive Care for the Elderly, or PACE, an optional Medicare and Medicaid benefit that focuses entirely on older adults who meet North Carolina standards for nursing home level care? PACE enables most patients to continue living in their own homes. The PACE Center in Pittsburgh is open to senior residents of Chatham, Durham, and Orange counties. Go to PiedmontHealthSeniorCare.org or call 877-714-2100.
Come to the Ackland Art Museum to see Good Object, Bad Object, an exhibition of recent acquisitions of unconventional contemporary sculpture by artists such as Amalia Pica, Carl Andre, Annette Lemieux, Martin Creed, and Ronnie Horn. On view from January 20th through April 2nd. Find out more about the exhibition and related public programs at ackland.org. The Ackland is located at 101 South Columbia Street in downtown Chapel Hill. Admission to the Ackland is always free. The Ackland. Look close, think far.
The Bud Matthews family loves this community, and for over 40 years, they've given back to many charitable organizations in the greater Chapel Hill area. They've also helped people with just about anything in their home or business, specializing in HVAC, electrical, plumbing, sewer septic, appliance repair, design build, and renovations. They look forward to continuing to serve their many longtime customers and welcome new ones too. Call the team at 919-929-0203 or visit budmatthews.com for all your home service needs.
Hello, Tar Heel fans. I'm Robbie Oakes, Managing Director of CIMG Residential Mortgage. As a Chapel Hill native and a UNC grad, I am proud to lead Chapel Hill and Durham's #1 mortgage lending team, so we can help you buy or refinance here locally or anywhere from the mountains to the coast. Last year, my team helped 1,500 North Carolina families refinance or buy the home of their dreams. Find out how today. Visit CIMGINC.com for details. CIMG, lending on a first-name basis. Go Heels.
Hi, it's Jones Angel, voice of the Tar Heels, and you're listening to your flagship station for Tar Heel sports, 97.9 The Hill, WCHL, Chapel Hill.
Coming to you straight from the heart of Chapel Hill in the 97.9 The Hill WCHL studios from the independent voice of UNC Sports, covering everything from Amos to Zwicker. This is Inside Carolina Live. And now the hosts of Inside Carolina Live, Tommy Ashley and Joey Powell.
Welcome back. Hour number 2, Inside Carolina Live on 97.9 The Hill, the flagship station for Carolina.
The ship of flags.
Flagship school, flagship station. Joey Powell over there. I'm Tommy Ashley. That's Daniel Myrick.
Have we asked Daniel how he's doing today? Daniel, are you okay?
I'm doing great.
Hey, you sound a little raspy.
Yeah. It's January.
Oh my!
Shouting at clouds or whatever.
Yeah.
What's wrong with you?
Let's bring in the expert. We're going to talk more about this. Table this discussion until 20 after the hour. Greg Barnes, what's happening?
Ain't nothing but a G-Bang, baby.
Not too much, guys. Just enjoying a cold, brisk North Carolina morning.
Yeah, I don't know why. You talking about cold. For some reason, and shout out to the people I'm going with, tailgating for a Hurricanes hockey game this afternoon late on the coldest. I don't do
Good
cold.
luck with all that, bro.
I know, really. And so something to look forward to. Greg, let me ask a question off the top. What's it been like not being on the beat? What's it like when you look around?
Wait, rephrase that. Greg, how much do you miss Tommy and I?
Well, I talk to him all the time. He talks to me all the time, Joey.
Well, you guys are the only reasons that I've kind of regretted stepping off, to be honest.
Oh, that's awesome. Wow.
How about that?
Wow.
That's well. That's why he's a pro.
I know, really.
See, that's. I have time now to come up with responses like that. Tommy, it's strange, and the funny thing is my wife is not a big sports fan, and so there are a number of times where she would say, "Where are you going to be next weekend?" or "Where are you at right now?" when I would be in some random city. And so now what we've kind of gotten in the habit of doing is she'll say, "Were you going to be here this weekend if you were still working?" So we've kind of gone through that, which has been interesting. But the ability to not have to worry quite as much with the game schedule and being able to actually watch the games and then turn them off right after has been a unique change. And I'm not sure that I've adjusted quite appropriately yet to it, but it's something that I'm working through and enjoying.
Yeah, and you also, you're not to the point where she's saying, "Don't you have somewhere to be?"
Go cover a
that
game,
will
Greg.
come, no doubt. That'll be next.
Well, one thing about it is folks don't. I'm not sure people understand the level of dedication that beat writers have, whether it's Greg Barnes, Adam Smith, Ross Martin, or working for Inside Carolina or other outlets. Is the amount of time that you put in day to day, week to week, month to month, and year to year doing this stuff. And that's why one reason why Inside Carolina is the best at doing it. And so, Greg, I want to tap into some of your expertise. Being able to watch it, not covering it, is, and this is another general question, has anything we've seen this year with North Carolina basketball, and now it'll be a little different today without Baycott and Pete Nance, but has anything really surprised you thus far this season?
It's a good question. And I would say really the only thing that has surprised me is I really felt that we would see a bump up and play from the guards, R.J. Davis and Caleb Love. Just in terms of they really struggled as freshmen, which makes sense. Last year, they had ups and downs. And then the last 6 weeks of the year, they really turned it on and really kind of elevated their play. And so I was really looking to see, okay, they tasted that, they experienced that success, they know what it takes to get there. Can they replicate it? Can they build upon that, ensure that they can play at that level game in and game out? And to this point, they just have not been able to do that. So I think that's kind of been the biggest surprise. And Armando Baycott is Armando Baycott. We know exactly what he can do. Injuries have slowed him a little bit, but when he's healthy, he's as good as any big man in the country. And then you also had, we knew Pete Nance was not going to be Brady Manick. How did he fit in? And I think his back injury is problematic because he was starting to make strides in terms of learning how to work with Armando in the post. And that's kind of been put on hold for now. So those are kind of the things that have stood out. But the guard play is probably number one.
Yeah, and the same mistakes that were made last year, that were quite frankly made 2 years ago. That is, the growth there has been interesting to observe, or the lack thereof. There have been some moments, and certainly they've played at some high levels, and they sort of need to get back to that. With Baycott out, with Nance out, Joey talked about Will Shaver earlier, who provides a big body inside. Going into this game today, do you have any sense of what Hubert Davis will do? He said Friday he didn't know what he was going to do. Well, obviously that's coach speak, but what should Carolina's approach be to this Louisville game? Because, look, injuries or not, losing to this Louisville team would be devastating to any kind of metrics North Carolina has moving forward. What do you expect to see today, Greg?
Well, this is the game where the guards have to win it for them. Louisville is a mess for a variety of different reasons, but they have no guards. Ellis is it. He's playing point guard. He's not a point guard. And the guy they have playing the two guard now, I believe his name was Davis, he's a small forward. I mean, he was recruited as a small forward. He's 6'5", 220 or whatever. But he's not a guard. And that's all they've got at the guard positions. And so Ellis is pretty much playing every single game because he's having to play point guard. He's jacking up a ton of shots. He's not the best at distributing the ball. And then they have a lot of 6'6" guys. And the crazy thing is Louisville has 2 kids committed for next year, and they're both small forwards. So what Kenny's trying to do, I'm not exactly sure. But because of that, they have not shared the ball very well. They don't shoot very well. They can't really defend guards, and so they don't defend very well. And I think if Baycott's in this game, it's probably a little bit tough for him. But now that Carolina can actually go small, and whether that's Puff Johnson, whether that's McCoy, having to play some at the 5, and Leakey may play some there as well, it really gives them an advantage offensively. And then defensively, you're going to have to swarm. You're going to have to rotate and really prevent Louisville from having a lot of success down low. But they don't really have anybody that scares you. And so I really think this is the game where the guards have to be solid. They have to take advantage. You probably want to see some more pressure in this game because with Louisville not having any guards, you don't want them just to be able to walk up the court very easily. You want to put pressure on Ellis so that he's worn down by the end of the game. And I think that's really the key component. You want to get a lead and keep it. Going back to the guard discussion, your Carolina's had 4 games this year where they've led by 7 points or more in the second half, and they've lost those games. And we could talk about the bigs and injuries and all that, When you have a lead in the second half, that is when your guards really have to step up and control the game. They have to dominate the ball. They have to play good defensively. They can't make mistakes, and they have to really make good decisions to help the team with every possession so you can close out games. And this is the type of game where you don't want Louisville to be anywhere near you in the last 10 minutes. You want a big lead, and you want to make smart decisions. And if Carolina's guards can do that, this should be a fairly simple win.
You definitely don't want to give them hope at home with, some guys that they haven't had success this year, and they've looked, like you said, a mess. But when you've got a guy like El Ellis, and North Carolina has shown a propensity to be beaten by one guy this year, you're exactly right, Greg. It's the last thing they need to do is let Louisville hang around towards the end of this game. Greg, you did a piece earlier this week on InsideCarolina.com talking about taking stock of the Heels and where they are this season. What are two big things? And you mentioned earlier talking about how they're not handling the difference in gravitas of a game like they saw in the Final Four versus being able to play against Iowa State in November. What are some things that you see when you're looking at the last 6 weeks of the season right now as we sit here in mid-January?
Well, I think the key thing, number one, you got to take care of this week's games, being Louisville and BC, because those are probably your two easiest games remaining. So you need to win those, kind of get back on solid footing. Hopefully you can get Baycott and Nance back. But then there's a solid stretch there, some very competitive games.
Yeah.
Nobody's at the elite, but a lot of really good teams, Clemson and State and Duke and that whole crowd. So get through this week, and then you really have to start gearing up. It took Carolina forever to gear up last year, but they finally did in February. You need to do that sooner this year. And what that means is you have to understand that every possession is important. We saw at the end of the Virginia game, it's like Caleb Love came to life. And all of a sudden he realized, hey, I've got to do something now. You can't wait until the final 4 minutes of the game to do that. You've got to be able to do that, not just in stretches, but for the entirety of the game. And for a team as experienced as this group is, one of the most experienced teams in the country, that's where everybody thought they would be so good this year. We haven't seen that at times, and we've seen them kind of get sloppy late when they've had leads. I think that's really the main thing. And last year, a lot of that was chemistry. But I think it begins with the guards. And if the guards play solid ball and make good decisions, and every possession counts, then you can start to grind out some of these wins. And once you start winning games against good teams, you can build momentum, and that sets you up for postseason.
So you think it's ball security more than even something like perimeter shooting?
Yeah, I mean, they do a pretty good job taking care of the ball. It's just the decision-making process. They rush shots sometimes, take ill-advised shots at times. The guards at times dribble too much. RJ started to do that. He'll dribble around and jack up a shot. You're like, why is that ball not going inside the Baycott? And so, they certainly need to shoot the ball better from the outside. I would think they would kind of trend back to where they've been historically. RJ's a good bit below his career average. Love is, he's kind of back to where he was as a freshman, right? He's not shooting from the perimeter like he was last year. You certainly need that to improve if Carolina's going to make a legitimate run. But I think they haven't played well in a number of these games, and there's not been any blowouts. So I think that's kind of the key thing is play cleaner, play smarter, make every possession count on both sides, and they'll win most of these games.
So one of the things statistically I think that fans may not be aware of is that this team was listed as recently as I think Thursday as second in the country in strength of schedule. I think they're third as we're going into the games today. Is there a silver lining there as far as potential tournament resume? I'm not one to put stock in saying your strength of schedule on paper makes for a better team. But do you feel like that may actually help, I guess, cover up some of their warts that they have right now when it comes Selection Sunday?
I do. And I think if you look back to last year, a lot of people said, this team is exactly like last year's team. No, it's not. North Carolina had, I think, 4 games where they lost by 20 or more points against decent teams. That's not happening this year. As I mentioned a minute ago, a lot of these games, even though they haven't played well in them, the games have been competitive, and they've been close. And I think that speaks to the experience factor and that the team has gotten better. And when you're playing really good teams, it's only a couple plays here or there that turns the tide. And so, yeah, while they are, 25th in net or whatever they are right now, the strength of schedule has prepared them. You want to keep winning so you can move up the seed line, and you don't want to be a 4 or 5 seed if you can avoid it. But the more quality opponents you play right now, it's like Roy Williams always said, he always wanted to play a tough schedule that his guys were ready come tournament time, and they typically were. I think the same thing applies now.
Greg, last question for me before we let you get out of here. Second to last. Are you playing golf today?
I'm not. I'm not with 44-degree temps.
Yeah, when I was leaving the neighborhood back home early this morning and it was snowing and sleeting, there were people playing golf. I mean, I'm not getting out there hitting rocks at this time of year. But looking at this basketball team, and we've kind of talked about it, and we've bandied about, and they're not last year, but we saw what last year's ceiling was. What's this year's ceiling? Absolute best ceiling. Is it that level of last year? Are they able to get to that level if everything went right? Or is it something else?
I do. When you look at kind of the best teams in the country, I don't see anybody that really wows me. And so because of that, I think if Carolina plays up to their potential, they can certainly get back to the Final Four. And that's the key. I mean, if you can get to the Final Four, then you have a chance to win the title. There's just everybody kind of gets on a hot streak at certain times, and that allows them to get to the Final Four. And it really is just kind of a flip of the coin because those teams can all potentially win it. Where do I think this team is most likely? I think it's probably a Sweet 16 team. If you can get to the Sweet 16, that's probably going to be a pretty good season for this unit just with how they played. That's a great question. I know fans are holding on to this, is that Hubert Davis found a way to flip a switch last year. And that the whole discussion about this year is, was that late run last year a little bit of a fluke where the team got really hot, or is that who they really were? And we're trying to apply what happened last year to this year. And so far, it looks like the late season run last year was just the team getting hot. But Hubert's going to have a chance to say, nope, that's not right. This team is actually really good. We're just trying to coach them up to be where they need to be come tournament time.
Well, for everybody who's listening today, you got two brilliantly positive nuggets from Greg there and what he just stated, but also the comment about North Carolina potentially having an advantage today in the sense that they've got speed and they got guards, and that might actually be something that works to their advantage. So Greg, I appreciate you giving some folks some flowers and glitter to look forward to this afternoon, 2:00.
Yeah, of course. And the funny thing is that Leaky Black will probably play the 5 for Carolina some. He would be undoubtedly the starting point guard for Louisville this year. So there's that as well.
Well, and hey, it's what's the old line? They got to guard us too, pal. So
right.
It's if nothing else, it'll be interesting to see how Louisville tries to counter and get their guys moving to stay in front of some of UNC's smaller, quicker guards. Greg, we appreciate it, man. I'm glad I didn't keep you off the golf course to talk to us today. I hope you enjoy the rest of your day, being warm and doing things that Greg Barnes usually does.
All right. Thanks, guys. Thanks for having me on.
That's Greg Barnes. We appreciate it being a part of the show. We'll take a quick break and be right back with the IC Takeover segment, which is where we kind of take questions from y'all. So all the folks that are in the YouTube chat right now, if you're on Twitter, if you're on the message boards, hit us up with some good questions. The best question gets $50 to Johnny T-shirt. Which I know Tommy could do some damage to Johnny T-shirt with a 50 spot. So
yeah, that might not that would help. It wouldn't dent it.
No, you don't think so?
It'd be like a hairline scratch.
You walking out of there with 2 arms full?
Too much.
Okay,
too much.
Well, either way, you got your chance. Right after this break, we'll take the best question and give you $50 in goodness from Johnny T-shirt. So stick around, drop your questions. We'd love to talk to you. Appreciate you being a part of the show this morning. He's Tommy Ashley. I'm Joey Powell. Full-time Daniel over there on the board. You can probably see his hands if you're watching this morning, but we'll be right back with the IC Takeover segment on InsideCarolina.com on 97.9 The Hill, WCHL.
This is Zach Penalto, and you're listening to Inside Carolina Live.
The layered design approach of the all-new Sheraton Chapel Hill balances a sense of timelessness with a fresh and modern feel, creating an environment where guests feel comfortable and at ease, whether working or relaxing in the town square lobby. New studios provide space from informal meetings to private dining for small gatherings. The soundproof booths are perfect for focused thinking or spontaneous video calls with family, friends, or coworkers. Found in the lobby, these studios offer unexpected privacy when you need it. Check out the Sheraton Chapel Hill today.
UNC. If you need an office for one person, two people, or a team space for 50, we have professional office space for you. When we think about where and how we work, times they are a-changin'. I'm Shayla with Bold Commercial Real Estate, inviting you to ditch the old way, jump on the bold way, and see how we can make your workspace the best it can be. Visit boldcre.com.
Hello, this is Tony Hall, real estate broker at Tony Hall & Associates. Since you are listening to WCHL, you're probably interested in things local to the Chapel Hill area. If you need a local realtor, I hope you will contact Tony Hall & Associates. We've been the local experts since 1995 and have the experience to give you great local service. At Tony Hall & Associates, we don't just list houses, we sell them.
For over 20 years, there's been no better place online for the Tar Heel sports community than Inside Carolina. Exclusive recruiting information, in-depth team analysis, insightful podcast. There's nowhere else that you'll find the level of daily content about the Tar Heels than InsideCarolina.com. Join the best community for Tar Heel sports around. The Tar Heels are your hometown team, and Inside Carolina is your hometown site for Tar Heel sports.
Get back to the big screen at the newly renovated Lumina Theater, bringing back the magic of the movies to Chapel Hill. The curtains are up, and we haven't just updated the seats and screens. We've seriously upped our concession game with soft serve ice cream, drool-worthy nachos, hot dogs with vegan options, and a variety of beverages, including excellent canned beer, wine, and cider. And of course, the latest and greatest blockbuster movies at the best prices in town. Find our current movie listings and showtimes at thelumina.com.
At Tech Contento, we believe food is a celebration of life. That is why our name means Happy Taco, and how we know you will always live happy with our mixed fresh food. From tacos made with homemade tortillas to various rice bowls to our amazing chorizo dip, you are sure to smile when you taste what we have to offer. Come visit us on 15501 next to North China Village on the corner of Eagles Gas Station, or learn more at ta-contento.com.
You're listening to Inside Carolina Live with Tommy Ashley and Joey Powell on 97.9 The Hill, WCHL, the flagship station for Tar Heel sports.
I'm going to assume that AJ threw some Huey Lewis in here, ironically. I was not expecting a little HL plus the news.
Yeah, I mean, we're sitting there goofing off in here and like, whoa, that's our music.
Yeah, I wasn't expecting Huey Lewis to bring us back from the break, but shout out to AJ for dropping that in there. All right, Tommy, IC Takeover segment. This is where we take questions, take all y'all's questions, queries, and qualms from the Inside Carolina universe. And whoever has the best one, I'm going to play Santa Claus. I'm going to give somebody $50 and a Johnny T-shirt gift card. But it's got to be a good question, right? Take your garbage questions for another show. That's not us. Try Jesus, don't try me.
And you can ask whatever you want. Don't know if we'll answer them.
Don't mean we're going to address it.
Please shout them out.
All right. So if you know anything about the segment, if you know anything about IC, we're sponsored by Johnny T-shirt. We appreciate what they do. So be sure to check them out. If you're online right now, go to johnnytshirt.com. Find something that you want so that when you get your $50 Johnny T-shirt gift card for your good question, you already know what you're going to get, right? Or visit them on East Franklin Street there in Chapel Hill. They're locally owned, alumni operated. They're big fans of Inside Carolina. We're big fans of theirs. So shout out to those folks. All right. Questions. I'm going to start in the YouTube chat because it has been popping this morning. Shout out to everybody being a part of the show. First time we've been on TV all year on the YouTubes there. Shout out to Tommy for hooking that up. And folks are in there just blowing it up. So appreciate those folks being a part of the show. All right. First one, Tommy, if there's ever been a question perfectly teed up for you, it's from our man Preston from Greensboro. Is this a must-win?
Look at the screen. Watch this. There you go. Preston. Is this a must-win, TA? Yes. This is a must-win basketball game. I said it earlier. You lose to this Louisville team this year, then pack up the bus.
Yeah, shut it down. It's you. I know you're down a couple of guys. I know you're struggling with some injuries at one specific position, right? Like it's not even key spots. Like you're just basically down big guys. If you lose to this Louisville team with the Travis Shamakri they got going on up there right now, yeah, just it's a wrap.
Yeah, I mean, and I always say games are must wins, and everybody says no, they've got a game tomorrow or next week or whatever. This game is a must win, with or without whoever's not playing. Carolina has plenty of talent on that court and on that bench to get this win in Louisville. It might not be as easy as it could have been, but I did like Greg's point that Louisville's got size, so Baycott and Nance would have had to deal with size. This is a guards game today.
5 out, bro. Go 5 out.
And work it. And you got Jalen Washington in there. He can get some action for sure, but if I'm Carolina, I press until they beat me, and then I press some more and go from there.
Well, make those big guys move their feet, right? Yeah. Attack from the angles, make them slide their feet, get them in foul trouble. If nothing else, them having to guard is going to make it tough, and it's going to wear those guys down. But to your point earlier, if they throw some of that full court trap at them, that's going to wear Louisville down too. And when you don't have ball handlers the way that North Carolina doesn't have big guys right now, that's your favor. Somebody said in the chat earlier today or earlier in the show, play to our strengths. And right now, I think our strengths are obviously the UNC backcourt. So play to your strengths.
Yeah. I mean, you got to if it's a half court game, I think the size that Louisville has could be a problem rebounding, especially on Louisville offensive rebounding. I do like how RJ Davis gets in the mix and will get some rebounds even at 5'10", maybe. But you want to get out, you want to press, you want to run this team and see what they've got. Because you don't have to slow it down, pound it to Baycott. You don't have Pete Nance out there. So this is an opportunity to see how, Hubert Davis runs an NBA offense pretty much. We'll see how this is a good opportunity to run it.
Yeah. No, this is all, we talk about matchups and how Hubert Davis loves to predicate things on matchups. That's what matters today. So I want to get to another question if I can find it.
While you're looking, I got a question. Why doesn't Johnny T-Shirt have an Aaron Matson jersey?
Hey, that's a great question.
Brad Midas.
That's a great question. You got to get a GOAT in there for Aaron Matson.
Most decorated. Is there a more decorated collegiate athlete?
If there is a trophy in college in women's field hockey, she's won it. And if there's one that she hadn't won, then it no longer exists.
Yeah, and she's won one of them 5 times. COVID.
Five times.
She is
player of the year.
She is absolutely the most decorated college athlete to play any sports, I think. Anyway,
good question. No, that's actually a fair point. We are very pro Matson on this show. Question from Sean Crowley, and we love Sean. Sean's always in the chats for all the podcasts and stuff. Appreciate him being a part of the show. Do you think the amount of depth this year has actually hurt the rotations Hubert has, and says Hubert hasn't found the right balance maybe with the subs? I think, again, it's how you look at subs. This is not a traditional way that North Carolina has substituted players historically. It's Dean Smith and Roy Williams both had what order guys were coming in, what part of the game they were coming in, you knew about how many minutes they were going to play, barring something out of the ordinary like foul trouble or an injury. With Hubert, I think it really does come down to what does the game look like? What does the opponent look like? What do the opponent's matchups look like? And I think that's that's what you're going to see tonight. You're going to see that, today, where he's going to try to exploit what matchups he has, and having an arm tied behind his back without having, we're assuming that Baycott and Nance aren't going to be available. With having that handicap, I think he's going to absolutely exploit that with what his bench is. So you may not see a guy you may not see a guy coming off the bench against Louisville that you saw coming off the bench against Virginia.
I agree with that. I mean, can you ever have too much depth?
Tell me, if there's a coach that says that, I would question his mental acumen.
Yeah, and with the transfer portal, even in basketball, that usually works itself out. But no, you can't have too much depth. Carolina has 8 players that average more than 11, 12 minutes a game.
And people still say that's not enough.
Yeah.
It's so divided about, people saying, well, why aren't you playing this guy? But then they also, I think a lot of fans are also, we need more depth here and more depth there. I don't think you can have it both ways.
Yeah, I think that, this is why you want to develop depth. And I'm not sure I can give the staff here a glowing grade on developing depth at this point. We'll see, but we've talked about it in the past. Roy Williams would play guys to play them, whether they sacrificed the game or not. And to your point, and I think this is the fundamental difference that people need to understand at this day and age with North Carolina basketball, with Hubert Davis as a coach, is that he plays, his rotations are based on that game's matchup.
Yes.
And
full stop.
Everybody's always used to, make everybody adjust to North Carolina. Roy Williams would say, we're going to do what we want to do, and it's up to them to stop it, whatever. That is ideal, sure. But with the way the game has changed is that Hubert adjusts based on what he's seeing. And sometimes it's on the fly, or sometimes there's a plan going in beforehand. But would I like to see more people play? Would I like to see Tyler Nickel get some run and have some success? Sure.
Mm-hmm.
He can shoot. But in college basketball, you got to be able to defend.
You got to be able to play the other end of the floor, bro.
Yeah, because if you're going to shoot 40% from the field, but you're going to give up 75% field goal percentage on the other end, that's a losing battle.
Yeah.
And these things are important, and it's what fans, me, watchers, whatever, don't really think about when you're saying, why didn't so-and-so play?
Yeah.
And so this game will be interesting. You're down the 3 bigs. I think it's a game you have fun with. Now, you need to win it. But I go full on Loyola Marymount.
Go 90 early 90s Nolan Richardson at Arkansas, 40 minutes of hell.
Yeah, and just get out and do it. And I can promise you that those games are fun for the players. Those teams that played on Loyola and on Arkansas, they had a blast doing it. And Arkansas got a national championship out of it. But
maybe that's what this team needs, dude. Maybe they need a game where you just kind of throw everything to the wall and see what sticks, and let the guys just go out there and play ball.
Yeah.
Let's just let them go out there with some different circumstances and be individual players. You were talking about Tyler Nickel, and I want to ask this question. This is from the real UNC 24 on the premium message boards. Is there any chance that Tyler Nickel can be the spot up 3-point shooter that we are lacking? So I want to answer that one, Tommy. I think at some point, yes. I don't think it's this year, and it's for the reasons you just mentioned. I think Nickel is learning to play defense. I think he's a better on-ball defender now than he was in November. I think he's improving. I think he's absolutely got the stroke. He is we talked about microwave offense earlier. I think that's who Tyler Nickel's game has been. He's the all-time leading scorer in high school basketball in the state of Virginia for a reason. I just don't think that's this year, because I think he's too far down in the pecking order, and I think his defense has to get a little more reliable. So I think the question is good, and I think he can be a spark. I absolutely think he could be a guy that, we saw it earlier this year where he actually was put in an end of half situation and they ran a play for him. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, it's obvious Hubert Davis trusts his offense. I could see that happening a little more often, but until he becomes just a more reliable on-the-ball defender and gets a little more quickness in his hips laterally, I think it's just going to be a little bit delayed.
Yeah. Unless you are elite, say Leaky Black's an elite defensive player, but he's not an elite offensive player.
Yeah.
But that defense outweighs what he doesn't bring you on the offensive end.
Yes.
Tyler Nickel, at this point in his career, is not either one. And it's not, I mean, he's going to be good, and he can certainly put the ball in the basket.
Yep.
I don't care what competition level you play. You score 2,000 plus points in anything. I mean, think about it. I mean, that's ridiculous.
That is not an easy feat.
No, but in college basketball, you have to defend. You have to have the complete game, or you're going to get exposed. And we've seen guys, and it's not just him. It's, Caleb Love, it's R.J. Davis when he's got a bigger guy on it. It's any of them.
Yeah.
It's teams will go straight at the mismatch. And it's
Hubert does that.
Yeah.
I mean, Hubert does it on offense.
They don't do it as much as, like when Baycott was cooking and then they went away from it against Pittsburgh and stuff like that. But teams go straight at the mismatch. And folks hate Mike Krzyzewski. I certainly get it. But one thing he did, and this is going to stir up the chat, I know, but one thing he did is when he had Ingram that year, how many times did they just clear out and ISO Ingram on whoever Carolina had, and they could do nothing about it?
Overload one side, let Ingram go to the other, one on whoever he was guarding.
And he did it over and over and over. And I remember that game because it sticks out, because that's what you see when another team has a mismatch.
Yep.
When the kid for Pittsburgh was dominating, Burton.
Yeah.
He went right at whoever he had. So Nickel will have opportunity. But he's not the answer now, though he can be in spurts, make some plays. I just think this is a game, and we'll talk more about it as we wrap the show. This is a game where RJ and Caleb Love have to show what they're made of and lead Carolina to the win.
Somebody asked earlier, and forgive me, I can't find who asked it. Raise your hand again in the chat on YouTube if it's you. Somebody asked earlier, is today the day we see Dontrez? Again, not a coach. I know that shocks a lot of you. I'm not on the UNC coaching staff. I do think today is a more favorable matchup for Dontrez Styles against Louisville than it would have been against Virginia. Does that mean I think he's going to get 20 minutes? No. But I think the conditions are more favorable to see him today than it would have been against Virginia. Shout out to Too Stressful in the chat. It's a heck of a handle. I absolutely. I think today could be a day where you just put Dontrez in there and see what he can do, especially if you start getting that Louisville roster tired. But who knows? I think it's up to the staff. It's what Hubert feels he's going to get, not just in warm-ups, but when he's seeing these guys on the floor and what matchups he feels like work. I do think it's a great chance for a guy like Tyler Nickel or somebody you mentioned earlier in the show, Puff Johnson, to actually come out of his shell a little bit and kind of attack the basket. Because again, when you're playing a bigger team that has to guard you, if you can get the ball to the rack yourself, there's going to be opportunity.
Yep. I mean, people say, what do these guys need to do? You take good shots. You're patient. I can't remember the exact line, but I thought about it last night. I'm watching Your Honor on Showtime. Mm-hmm. Great show with Bryan Cranston. This is season 2. If you haven't watched, check it out. Patience is not a weakness, is what he said. I think that's what he said.
That's a very Art of War Sun Tzu mindset, too.
And that is what Carolina needs to be at times on offense. And I feel like sometimes when they're patient, they ended up working themselves into a bad situation because they end up having to jack up a shot or whatever. Against Louisville, they need to run them and run them and run them and get shots up. And what that does, too, is when you're playing a bunch of big guys, if it's chaotic, their size is less of a factor on the boards.
Well, and with a team that is as turnover prone as Louisville is, heat them up, speed them up. Like Greg said, they have shown they will give you the ball. 16.6 turnovers a game. That's a big number, dude, and explains a lot why they're ranked as poorly as they are in so many places. All right, last question. We'll wrap the segment. I like this because I think this fan base is really excited about Seth Trimble. I think his athleticism, his defensive prowess. He has shown flashes in the very very, very limited window that we have. When I say limited window, I mean it's only been 3 months of ball. In the very limited window we've seen of this young man, he has shown flashes of some elite ability to defend, and I think he's a really smart ball player. He's made a couple of passes in transition this year that I don't think folks expected to see out of him. Our question comes from KY Tar Heel 80 on the message boards. Is Seth Trimble's ceiling higher than his half brother? Will he ultimately develop into a better shooter than JP? So the second part of that question, I think he very well could be a better shooter. I think he's a better scorer now than JP was. I don't think he's as athletic. I don't know that his ceiling is higher than his half brother because I think they're two entirely different players, different body styles, different skill sets, and I don't see them as being comparable enough to ask that question apples to apples.
Yeah, if I'm totally honest, I can't remember Tokoto a ton other than being a dunker. He had some game, and he could play, but I think Trimble's a heck of a lot more athletic than folks expect. I mean, you've talked about it. He's going to end up punching one on somebody down the lane, but I think that his game this year is chaos on defense. But I do think he needs to shoot more. He, to me, looking at him play, he seems a little hesitant to shoot and to drive straight in somebody's chest and all that. But it's part of getting acclimated to the college game. You're not going to out muscle people in college. Not as a freshman unless you're different. And so I think. I'll say this: that's a heck of an athletic family, isn't it?
Whew, man, the genes.
Yeah,
good gracious.
I mean, good gosh, but he could be effective in a game like this.
Yeah,
he can have 5 or 6 steals in a ball game like this. He needs to finish at the rim. Seems to be a wonderful, wonderful young man. Listening to the press conference that he's had before. But he's a dog.
He's almost too unselfish at times.
Yeah. I mean, that's just because he's trying to
fit in.
And he's playing with 2 alphas, right?
He's trying to find his way.
He is a junior alpha trying to play with 2
he's a beta.
Grown alphas. and so he's trying to work in. The games like this are where he needs to excel. And he also takes pressure off of RJ having to defend a guy bigger than him. Now, he's not very big himself, but I think he's a little stronger and has that ability. So this is going to be an interesting matchup, Joey, and we'll talk about it in the last segment. But I just think everybody across the board needs to come ready to play, and it needs to be a balance where you don't have Caleb and RJ with 20 shots plus, and then nobody else with more than 5 or 6.
Yeah. Well, and you can't have the same thing happening against Virginia, where I think you only had 3 guys score in the second half. That can't happen. Again, Baycott, Nance, no Baycott, Nance. You can't have only 3 guys getting in the scoring column in the second half of a college ball game and expect to win.
Unless somebody's cooking up a 30-piece
and
a half.
And everybody's deferring to him, then okay, fine.
Yep.
But it's like you said, when we started the game, or we started the show, like it's just, and it don't matter how, it's the flood. And you got to leave the KFC, Mexican pizza, nacho fries, popcorn chicken center today with 1 point more than Louisville has, period. All right, take a break, come back and wrap the show. Let's give the winner today to our guy Preston in Greensboro. How you like that? Preston from Greensboro teed up one for Tommy. We appreciate that. So we'll help our guy Preston Greensboro out with some Johnny T-shirt love. Appreciate you guys being a part of the show. All right, we'll be right back. Take one last break and then we'll wrap the show. Appreciate you being a part of it. Getting you ready for Tar Heels Louisville today at 2:00. Inside Carolina Live. He's Tommy Ashley. I'm Joey Powell. You're listening to 97.9 The Hill WCHL.
This is Matt Merletti, and you're listening to Inside Carolina Live. Tired of paying too much for insurance that just doesn't fit your needs? At All About Insurance, we shop your insurance with multiple carriers to get the best deal for you. Nationwide, AAA, Travelers, The Hartford, Auto Owners, and more. All About Insurance has got you covered whether you need auto, home, life, health, business, or renter's insurance. We can even cover your boat and motorcycle. Come see us in Chapel Hill at 1289 Fordham Boulevard. Call 919-933-4000 or visit allaboutiinsurance.com. One call, we can shop them all. We know all about insurance, so you don't have to.
Mac Orthodontics is in the business of making people smile with confidence. Here's Mark, the happy parent, with more.
When I came in, the first thing I noticed, everybody was really nice. It was just everybody smiled. It was a real smile, and I liked the environment. He had a great personality, and he actually talked to everybody. When you need braces, it prevents you to smile the way you want to. But he's smiling all the time now. Teachers are talking about it. He's always smiling.
Mac Orthodontics in Hillsborough and Burlington. Start loving your smile. Learn more at macortho.com.
Hello, I'm Holly Fricaro, CEO of the Home Builders Association of Durham, Orange, and Chatham counties. This is the Home Builders Minute, where I interview one of our members every month about their expertise in the current housing market.
This month, my guest is Jennifer Player with Habitat for Humanity, Orange County, no stranger to our listening audience. Jennifer, share with us the history and contribution of Habitat for Humanity, Orange County in the community here.
Habitat for Humanity of Orange County was founded in 1984 by folks right here in our community who saw a need for affordable housing. There were affiliates growing all throughout the country. I joined Habitat in 2014. We've built 325 homes throughout the county. So it's really exciting for us to not just put families into a decent place to live, which of course is our vision and really important, but also to allow those families to build equity and build wealth through home ownership. All of those 325 families now own their home that then becomes their greatest asset that they can pass on to their families. In addition to the new homes, in 2013, we started a program for home repair, whether it's a roof repair or a floor repair or adding on accessibility ramps, stairs, etc. Thanks for joining us on the Home Builders Minute, keeping us informed about the building and buying of new homes. Tune in weekly for this show, which is also archived under the Town Square tab of chapelborough.com and on hbadoc.com.
The Casual Pint is your place for craft beer. Choose among 35 rotating taps. With a wide variety of styles, there's something for everyone. What's your favorite style? Don't quite know? Sample before you select your pint or try a flight today. Wanting to take beer to go? Choose from 200 plus beers in their cooler to create your mix of six or fill a crowler or growler from the tap wall. All at the Casual Pint, 201 South Elliott Road, Chapel Hill.
You're listening to Inside Carolina Live with Tommy Ashley and Joey Powell on 97.9 The Hill, WCHL, the flagship station for Tar Heel sports.
Daniel's got us in a stranglehold, bro.
Yeah. I told you, I just said that you're going to get in this segment. So
play some dudes, Daniel.
You need to activate your mic, Daniel, and join us for the last segment, Inside Carolina Live, on a January cold, sleety, snowy, just
all kinds of grossness.
Yeah, I'm not a cold person. I know folks love, they keep showing the ski slopes and all that stuff. Give me the beach and 90-degree weather.
Not interested in any of that. I would love, by the way, speaking of beach, you seen these videos of homebacks breaching at Cape Lookout this week?
Yes, I saw it.
Crazy?
And I hit up on TikTok, I hit up Big Rock, and they said that they come through this time of year.
I didn't realize they were that close. I knew you could see them off Nag's Head.
And they're inside the
bite. Yes, I had no idea that they were that close. I mean, the video I saw yesterday at Cape Lookout, the lighthouse is in the background. And I swear, where that whale breached, it could have been more than 5 or 6 fathoms of water. So, that's been your
fathom. What are you, 20,000 leagues under the sea?
That's how you measure depth in a boat, bro.
Fit, bro. My depth finder has feet, not fathoms.
You step your game up, sir.
What are you talking about? You're the one begging me to go fishing all the
Well,
time.
you hadn't taken me yet, so I went out and bought my own 70-foot sport fisher.
Well, everybody, we're going to do the show live from Joey Powell's boat. That'd be fun. You got the satellite internet.
That would be strong. So, all right. So whoever's got a big sport fishing boat, take me and Tommy out. We'll do the show live from your boat in the Gulf Stream out there where we're trolling for dolphin. All right, back to the show. Sorry, that was our North Carolina coast nature moment of the day. Daniel, you've been silent today. I mean, is all the tendency all the folks being nervous about this game are we being stupid, or do you feel like this is a legit, real trap game for Carolina today?
No, I think we're fine. I'm not too worried about it. I mean, they're 2-15. They're bad. It's one of those things. They're actually so bad. I was talking to you about this earlier, but there's been teams who played them, beat them by double digits, and still gone down in the net rankings because they're so bad.
Yeah,
Lord have mercy. Y'all have not watched
342nd in the net. The man's telling the truth. I mean, that's pretty hot doo doo. It's and again, it's for as bad as North Carolina's been. Now, again, like Tommy says, you lose this game today, I don't care what your record says you are. You lost to a team that has only beaten Florida A&M, and I can't remember the other squad they beat is, but they've lost to some bad teams. I think they lost to Lenore Ryan or something like that.
And I don't get
App State.
It's like Greg said. What is Payne doing?
It's curious that they've gotten this far, that they've lost the plot this much this quickly. That's where I do think there's some head scratching to be done, and I'm not sure. Again, I don't know enough about Louisville. I don't follow Louisville enough, but from the outside, there's a lot of WTF to go around with regard to that program.
It's just, I mean, I'm one of those people that likes everybody being pretty good except a couple teams.
Well, it helps the league.
Yeah, I mean, I'm all for having Louisville and these teams that are in the conference. Whether or not you want them in the conference is one thing, but now that they're in the conference, you'd like to see them be good, not be an anchor. I mean, Florida State, I've always liked Florida State, always liked Leonard Hamilton. They're not very good this year either. They've done better.
They've won more than 2 games.
Yeah, but they're still, what are they, 5-11 or something like that? I mean,
like Louisville's a decent team last year. The fact that they now have won 2 games this late into the year, and I hope I'm not jinxing the Tar Heels by talking about them like this, but it does beg the question: what's in the water right now? And I don't think it's that good Kentucky brown water either,
or too much of that.
Yeah.
It might be too much of that there. So let me get to my producer thing. I'm gonna bring up a question as we close out this show. Carolina Louisville, 2:00.
Oh, by the way, let me share the sports information for everybody. Carolina is now down to a 12.5-point favorite. So folks are seeing these injuries as worrisome. The total right now is sitting at 145.5. Carry on, sir.
B. Mick on the YouTube chat. It's an interesting discussion. And it sort of dovetails, I think that's the correct use of that, what we talked about on The Beat Thursday night with Adam Smith, Ross Martin, and John Bowman. Am I crazy in thinking the best NBA prospect on this team is Leaky? Question from the YouTube chat. I can't speak to the level of craziness, but I think the answer there lies in Jalen Washington. Could I be wrong, Joey?
No, just again, if people have to remember that before Jalen Washington's injuries, he was staring a top 5 national ranking in the face. And I've made jokes about it on Twitter during the game. But I mean, his baseline mid-range jump shot is like just softer than some velvet hearse curtains. I mean, it is absolutely gorgeous to watch. And NBA scouts love a guy with his size that has some handle. I know he hasn't hit any threes yet, but the fact that he pulled 2 in that game the other night shows me that Hubert Davis has confidence in that shot. And his ability right now, to bang with the guys against Virginia that he showed the other night, even being fatigued, he did not get thrown around in the paint as much as a freshman big man usually does in college. So you think about the fact he's coming off of 2 major injuries, his build, his skill set right now. No, absolutely. I think he's the best pro prospect on this roster as we sit on January the 14th.
Yeah, I agree with that. And love the game. Of course, he hadn't played it in a long time.
Right.
He's played, 48 minutes for North Carolina in his career.
Yeah, and more than half of that was Tuesday night.
Right. So when you look at Leaky Black, I know Hubert said he's an NBA player, and he probably could have a role, the right role on a certain team. But he would have to get a lot more aggressive.
Yeah.
Because NBA guys, even the last ones off the bench, want to stick it in your eyeball
many times over the course of a game.
And they'll do it. So, it's an interesting debate. What is sort of not sad, but a way to look at it is how Carolina's gotten is we're talking about one guy who's played 48 minutes of college being the best NBA pro prospect, and another guy who's played 5 years, and we're still waiting for him to break out of some imaginary shell as being the pro prospects. Now, is Caleb Love a pro prospect? Sure. Is Armando Bacot, given the league the right situation, I think Armando will make a lot of money playing basketball if he wants to. I mean, I'm going to flat out say Deion Thompson lives the life.
When I did the 40 Club podcast with him a couple of years ago, my man is married, living in the south of Spain, playing pro basketball. And when I saw the view from his house that he showed me offline, yeah. To say he's living the life. And where's he now? He's in the Caribbean somewhere now.
Yeah, I mean, he's always posting stuff. So playing professional basketball, yes, the NBA is the league. But if I'm going to be a 13th guy on the bench or however many guys they carry versus being a guy like Deion Thompson playing all over the world in some of the beautifulest, I'm going there. A friend of mine played in Norway when he got out of college, played at Kansas State. He begged me to come. He's like, dude, you got to come over here. This is wonderful. They pay me to do this. And
tax-free.
Yeah. And so you got, I don't know, the talent level. I'm waiting to see Hubert Davis's recruiting and these guys he keeps getting committed. That you and Terrell and on the Coast to Coast talk about. But right now, North Carolina has got some talent issues. Today should not be one of those days where it becomes an issue.
You would hope not. And for all the bemoaning that folks want to do about Hubert Davis, today's a day where he could absolutely just quiet some critics if he were able to win this game convincingly and do so without their 2 post players. I'm going to give you some more stats today too. And this is, again, just looking at the 2 side by side. It's rough to look at. And of course, this is why they play the games, right? But 2:00 Eastern time is when they'll tip it off. Again, Louisville's 2-15. Some more Louisville rankings. The RPI, they're 306th. Ken Palm, they're 276th. Torvik has them at 315th. Points per game, they average 63. Their field goal percentage is at 40. The 3-point percentage is about the same as North Carolina's. And they rebound the ball over 32 a game. But again, getting down here to the ball handling stuff, like 16.6 turnovers per game. They average losing the turnover margin per game by 4.5. Their assist to turnover ratio is 0.5. Like that's bad numbers. And so, yeah, if North Carolina can't beat this team today with just who is available, there are bigger problems to look at. So
that none of it matters when the ball goes up at 2:00. Right. All those numbers are even.
That's fair
when that happens. And UNC on the chat said they've been competitive lately. They've been in some competitive ball games. The fact of the matter is, North Carolina's got to produce and got to handle business. They haven't won on the road, and I know,
which blows my mind.
Ross tried to get Hubert to talk about is that a thing to focus, and Hubert said no, it doesn't help me prepare my team any better to harp that we're playing on the road.
What was it that that Roy used to say? Is that a building never beat anybody?
Well, that's accurate, but there's a reason that some teams are more successful in a building. So I don't know. I just think this is a game I want to see North Carolina. I want to see the players have fun. I want to see some ingenuity and some flexibility from Hubert and the coaching staff. And it's time to see the three we've talked about the most, RJ, Caleb, and Leakey, have solid, consistent games throughout the 40 minutes. Jalen Washington's wise beyond his years. It was tough to stay focused for the whole time I was out there. Well, it shouldn't be for juniors and seniors.
Well, we got to get out of here. Appreciate you guys being a part of the show. Thanks to Adam Smith, Greg Barnes, and, of course, Marcus Ginyard. He's Tommy Ashley. I'm Joey Powell. Thanks to you for being a part of the show today. We'll catch you next week on Inside Carolina Live on 97.9 The Hill, WCHL.
Tired of working from home? Need space for